Star Wars Rebels Season 3, Episode 9, The Wynkahthu Job. Hopefully I said that right, because that's what it looks like on my phone. This was a fun episode. Hondo comes back. Of course, he's like the one character they just keep bringing back from Clone Wars. It's like, super simple. Let's get Hondo. Why not? So Hondo comes back. He also brings in Azmorigan, if I'm remembering how to pronounce his name right. So he comes back, and we have the two of them who are almost one and the same as far as their goals. And it's like, all right, I saw this first, or I claimed this first. I saw the ship first. I was in, whatever, that sort of deal. So they're full of treasure all the time. Hondo is, of course, as lying as he always is. The long, boring story of how he came to the rebels with his job after he basically left his entire crew to die. Like, he escaped and let them go. So I like what they did in this episode, where Ezra's sort of more childish side of him, kind of is always explored, really, when Hondo comes around. And so Hera was trying to protect him, and they had a cool, like, it was really like the only thing Kanan did in this episode was that ending, or not the ending, but that scene where he's like, I know what you're trying to do, but Ezra has to realize that Hondo is not really the cool guy that he thinks he is. Like, he's not really the friend that Ezra sees him as. So I like how that played out. It was a simple thing. Also, Ezra's more childish side certainly came out way more than the Hondo thing. Was Zeb being in charge? I actually love that. It kind of made me hate Ezra a little bit, because I was surprised. It seemed like he was super bratty, but it also led to some really good stuff. Like the scene at the end where they try to seal the door, and it's after Ezra cut that giant hole in it, and I was like, that's actually phenomenal. Like, that came full circle in one of the most awesome ways I think I've ever seen in any TV show, where it's like, he didn't listen, and he went through, and they get the the door open after he cuts it, and then it all comes full circle in that ending battle, and he's like, how about that? And he's like, well, I didn't know. And I was like, that's just perfect. Like, that's just a simple thing of him being so brash and him not listening, when it took time for him to cut through that whole door. They cut it up, and it was like a couple seconds, but it took time for him to cut that giant circle, and it took even more time for them to unlock the door. So they chopped it up quite a bit, and it's like, in all that time he didn't bother listening to Zeb when he's like, no, don't chop through the door, and then it comes full circle perfectly, and it just made me laugh. I thought that was so funny. But I like the way they did that. The droids in this were pretty awesome. They reminded me of Cylons from Battlestar Galactica, but the way they did them, they were also very Terminator-like. They were so deadly and so driven. They were, like the future, skeletal versions of the Terminator. It's just all silver, with the red eyes and everything. And they're just shooting, and that's it. There were only like three or four of them in the whole episode, and they were just that powerful. And I was like, that's actually really awesome. AR-5 or 9 or whatever, he comes back in this. I forgot he existed, but he reminded me why I liked him initially when they introduced him, and it's because that freaking line, which they had this in the trailer and I forgot about, but that line where he's like, you have a 38-point-something% chance of survival, and Kanan was like, 38%? Like, this is your plan. He was like, yeah, I factored that in too. Like, you guys, it would be almost 0% without me. And I just love that part. I was like, that's just kind of awesome. That's what makes that character really funny. It's like, yeah, you have a 38% chance, but without me, it would be even less than that. Like, that's not high, but it's better than 0. So, like, they showed me again why I like that character, even though I totally forgot about him, because that was one of the things I remember now. When he showed up, it was like, man, it would be cool if he kind of joined permanently, because he was so funny. But then they kind of just bring him in, and it was still entertaining. So I definitely love getting to see some of the characters come back. They had like a nice little recurring thing for this episode where Hondo comes back. The other dude comes back. They have that moment where Hera, I kind of wish she punched him when he was like, technically I still own you, and he laughed about it, and I was like, it would be awesome if she just punched him straight in the face, but they didn't end up doing that. But they bring these three characters back that kind of show up. The droid, this is only his second episode, but it was really cool. I was like, that's cool. We get characters that are coming back into play, and just the way everything played out with Ezra and him realizing who his true friends are and stuff like that, and learning to listen to commands. Because it was more that teen angst sort of thing they went through in this episode. It's like, oh, he's not the young brash kid anymore. Now he's like the angry teenager sort of thing. So It's like, alright, we got that debate, and it was a little bit annoying because mostly because he kept going to Zeb, and, I felt like I would have liked it more if he was going more towards Hondo because he actually deserved it, where it's like Hondo is just like, oh, I don't care about him, like, oh, it sucks, he must have fell off, Milch. She's like, oh, he must have fallen to his death. Oh, guess I'll use his part of the treasure wisely and stuff like that. And I kind of wish they had more of that with Ezra, where he, was slowly seeing it more and more throughout the episode, rather than him just fighting against Zeb, because he was just the angry teenager, like, I should be in charge because it's Hondo and I got us this mission. But I still enjoyed it. I still think it really all came together well. Loved the sort of creepy horror aspect of the droids. So I thought they'd do a lot more of that when they first went into the ship, and then it was the Melch thing. I was like, okay, that ended up being kind of funny. But I like the way they did the droids for sure, and just how serious it got. They're, once again, proton bombs. That's like the only thing they seem to get during these missions. But, they get their proton bombs. No other treasure is found because Melch ends up saving himself. And so he knows, like, Hondo was probably going to leave him behind. So he gets in the box as the treasure. So that was kind of awesome at the end as well. But I actually did really enjoy this episode. Like I said, the only real thing was just that the arguing with Ezra and Zeb. That was the only thing I didn't really like. And even that was, like, a very minor part to the overall greatness that I felt, from this episode. It was pretty funny. And not like the biggest development or anything, but it had a little bit to it as far as Ezra growing and stuff like that, and realizing who his true friends are, like I said. So I thought it was still a really fun episode. I thought it was really good. I liked the action in it. That was another thing I noticed when I was watching, when it got to the end of the episode. That was the second time they've done something like crazy, where it's like, oh man, they're doing like some really weird stuff where Ezra is like on top of somebody or doing something special. And it's like the one person is moving, and then Ezra's like defending them, and like they're in like the craziest positions and stuff, because they did it, of course, with Sabine as well as Chopper, because he was standing on Chopper and deflecting and stuff, and then he was holding on with one hand to Sabine and deflecting as she's flying. So they did that, kind of again, where he's just in a crazy circumstance where he's holding on to Zeb, and he's just deflecting all these blasts and stuff as Zeb climbs up, and I was like, that's really cool. And it was just, 2 times in a row they did something like kind of crazy. I was like, oh, that's weird. He's just in a weird, dangerous situation, but it's just really awesome because he's not just in the perfect position where he's just standing and he's able to deflect and reflect, right back at him. He's holding on with one hand and he's just swinging the lightsaber and just deflecting everything, and I thought it just looked great. So I was happy to see that. I was like, it's just a little bit different, from us getting to see them do their normal thing with the lightsaber. So I was like, that's awesome. I actually love that. It was a small scene, but I was like, I love that. It was like they're both holding on, and then he just holds on to Zeb and just whips out the lightsaber, and he's just deflecting like crazy too, because they were shooting the crap out of them, and he was just deflecting all these shots at him, and I just thought it looked great. So I was like, that was a cool, little moment before the, kind of ending laugh to the episode. But I certainly enjoyed it. I definitely thought it was a fun episode, of course. Would love to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, least favorite parts. And this is, I feel like it's like almost the 6th episode Hondo's been in. He's been in quite a few. I've lost track at this point, but I would love to know what other characters you guys want to see come back. I mean, we got, I think we only had 2 episodes, maybe only even 1 episode with Lando Calrissian. We definitely only had 1 with Princess Leia. We haven't really seen Bail Organa too much, and he's supposed to be in Rebels, or not Rebels, Rogue One. Apparently he's actually going to be showing up in that, so it'll be cool if we got to see him again, and maybe that'll be their reference to Rogue One, because I heard a while back that they wouldn't be doing any sort of crossover where anyone would show up in live action or anything like that, and that could have been their plan before, but they might change that, where they have someone from the movie come in. That's a little easier than having a fake character given an actual actor, because they can't look exactly the same. But they could totally do that, bring in a live action character and just be like, alright, well, we'll just make that actor 3D and then, literally do it that way. So that could change up, but, maybe, maybe not. But I would love to know what characters you guys would like to see come back, or what characters you guys would like to see introduced. There are of course, a ton of other people. I'm trying to remember. I'm pretty sure he's fine. I'm pretty sure he's alive, but man, if they did Cad Bane, I would love to see that dude come back. He was one of my favorite things about Clone Wars. He was like the ultimate badass character. Like, even more, I know everybody loves Boba Fett, but man, Cad Bane is like, he's my #1 bounty hunter. like hands down. Like the stuff he did in Clone Wars was so cool to me. And like I remember, I think it was him and Obi. It was when Obi-Wan was like infiltrating like this assassin thing, and they were going through like all these insanely deadly tests. It was the first like 10 minutes of this episode, and Cad Bane comes in, and there are these two twin assassins. And so this is like after some big thing happened, and he like lost his hat, or like his super badass one. And so he's like, I like that hat, and he just like pulled on this dude and he killed him, and he stole one of the twins' hats, and this other alien's just staring there, and his brother just got murdered in front of him. And I'm just like, holy crap, like they've been here for 5 minutes, and he just killed a dude before everything even started. And the announcer's like, oh, sadly, one of the twins is gone. And I'm just like, wow, this dude killed him over a cool looking hat. And that's why I love Cad Bane. So I want him to come back, because I'm pretty sure he never died, he just was gone. So that's who I want personally, because he's such a cool character. Like him and Darth Maul, like in just very different ways, just so freaking badass. So I would love to see Cad Bane come back. Of course, Darth Maul, since he's officially in the show now, can't wait for his next episode. But as far as new people, Cad Bane, as far as characters that are already there, definitely Darth Maul #1. But like I said, want to know yours, and want to know what you guys thought about the episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.